What does it take to go from grinding on the pickleball court to taking down the world #1? Today, I'm sitting down with the guy who did just that, Michael Loyd, a pro who battled his way to the finals of the World Championships and shocked the pickleball world. But what I respect most about Michael isn't just his skill. It's how outspoken he is about his faith. That's something we both share, and today, we're talking about more than just pickleball. We'll dive into the mindset that helped him pull off that upset, the role faith plays in his journey, and what it really takes to compete at the highest level. All right, my friends, thank you for being here, dude.
Yeah, thanks for having me, dude.
Excited to just, really dive into, obviously, your upbringing, how you got into pickleball, faith, and I know you have so much wisdom to share. So just what that looks like and what you want to share with the viewers. So to kick it off, I think what's good is just how did you first get into pickleball, and when did you realize that you could actually compete at the highest level?
So I think first got into pickleball during the pandemic. So that was, 2020, feels like forever ago now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was still playing college tennis. I was about to go get my master's, and I think I kind of have like a super crazy story about it. But yeah, I just found it during the pandemic, and then within my first couple of months of playing pickleball, I had met Tom Dundon, Steve Kuhn, and Tim Klitsch. Like all these
the
guys
heavy
that
hitters.
would be, later on super instrumental in pickleball.
Yeah.
At the time, like nothing had happened yet. Like Tom didn't own PPA, MLP wasn't a thing yet. Tim obviously didn't own an MLP team yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just met these guys really early on in pickleball. And at the time I had planned on going off and doing my master's in sports psychology.
Yeah.
But then just talking to these guys and kind of hearing their vision for the game and what it could be inspired me to get into it. So it was Tim Klitsch and Steve Kuhn that were kind of showing me their plans and were like, hey, you should figure out a way to get involved in this. And so I went home that night, kind of shifted gears, found an MBA program that I wanted to go to. And it wasn't until a couple of years after that, once I had finished my college tennis and everything, that I got back into playing pickleball a little bit more regularly. And then I had the amazing opportunity to work for Head Pickleball.
Okay.
And later on down the line with that, they actually were like, hey, we'd love if you would go out, represent us, play some tournaments and stuff like that. And so that's what kind of got me going. And from the get-go, I was just like, I'm just going to play pro and see how it goes. But to answer, I guess, the second part of that, in terms of like, when did I believe that I could actually play at the highest level, it would be, ironically enough, when I played Ben Johns in singles for the first time.
Yeah.
I think that was early 2023 in a Denver PPA. And I was up in the first game, had game points.
Oh, wow.
And that's when I was like, okay, like I definitely could do this, right?
The belief was there.
The belief, for sure, was there. I didn't end up getting that game, and I ended up losing that match in a close 2 games. But that was the first time where I was like, okay, like
And that was your first year on tour, 23?
So I played my first tournament at the very end of 2022. So 2023 would have been the first
full year.
I was still working, and so I didn't play a full schedule or anything like that. But I was lucky enough with Head to be playing about one tournament a month.
Okay.
Between the APPs and the PPAs.
Sure.
And so it was back then that I kind of got the itch and was like, okay, I should try this.
Well, I affirm you. Like I would do so much to go back a decade out of school when I very have fresh legs, and to give it an actual go, like coming from the tennis background, it's something where looking ahead 10, 20 years and not living with any regrets, like I feel like just continue to go all in, and clearly the results have shown and will continue to show, I think, for you. I would be doing the same thing, at least I would. At 36 years old, I know I'm saying that. At 26, I don't know, who knows what I would have done, but affirm you and continue to go, man. Like it's really cool to see. So with that, like when you hear a big thing on the channel is talking about breakthrough, and just going really through hard times. So like when you hear the word breakthrough, what comes to mind?
For me, it's like very visual. I think of that illustration that was going around for a long time and still pops up every once in a while on my feed, and it's the illustration of the 2 minors.
Oh yeah.
And so like one is at the top and he's super excited, he's barely getting on his journey, and you can see the diamonds at the very end, and he's so far away but he's so excited. Right. And the next guy, he's right next to them and he's just decided to turn back, And so that's the illustration that I
Good
think about
illustration.
of the breakthrough is like, okay, we're all capable of it.
Yep.
It's just, can we keep up that excitement to make sure that we get to the very end? And yeah, breakthroughs are funny because like, unless you kind of get to the end and have something to show for, you don't feel satisfied and nobody believes that you
Totally.
actually did it. And so I think that illustration kind of showcases it perfectly. And it's something that always kind of pops up in my head when somebody says the word.
Yeah, I'm gonna start using that. That's a very good illustration. So that's a good segue into like last year in Dallas, November. Let's run that back. The World Championships. You know, you're entering the event. Were you seated in that event?
I was seated. I think I was somewhere around like the 20s though. It was not a super high seed.
Yeah.
So definitely the underdog. And yeah, I think my mindset going into that was okay. I've played him before. I've gotten
Yeah.
close. That was kind of the inspiration for me
Yep.
getting into this. And I also had a lot of things going right for me, kind of right before that. I had just gotten a win in doubles against J.W. Johnson and Dylan Frazier, who were the #1 team at the time with Todd Foe, and so that there was a lot of confidence in that. I had also just recently gotten on an MLP team for the Frisco Pandas.
Yep.
And then I had also just been, spending a lot of time. That was basically at the year point for me being in Austin, and so I was like, I'm a new player since the last time that I've played Ben, and I think obviously he's the GOAT for a reason. He's incredibly consistent. He does so many things well. But I thought that a lot of my strengths and my patterns played into my favor. And I think you just have to go into those matches with a little bit of, healthy delusion, right? Like I'm telling myself,
healthy delusion. That is, yes.
It's a real thing. You know what I mean?
to.
And I've talked a lot about it with my friends recently who are trying to like take that next step and kind of get a little bit further. And it sounds super gimmicky, but like I tell myself that there's 4 or 5 things that I'm like top 5 in the world at. You know what I mean? And that's what I believe. And it does not matter what anybody else says about that. You know what I mean? And I think we all, as competitors, need to find what those things are and put a lot of confidence in that.
Yep.
And I think there's a lot of power in that healthy delusion, like I said earlier.
Without a doubt. Well, I mean, I wish I was there, but I saw the highlights and like the energy, like you could, I felt that it was palpable, like that you brought. And I feel like that's a missing I mean, outside of Tyson, I think it's a missing thing on tour. And like you now bringing that as well, like that's something that I remember from my tennis days. That's a psychological edge when seeing that other guy when they're so fired up, like you could be down a break or down a game, and like they're just not going away.
Yeah.
And so that delusion, I think, it has to play a huge part. It has to play a huge part. So like let's before playing Ben now specifically. Outside of the that type of mindset and belief, what else did you have any routines or anything before that match that you were like, okay, this is what I'm going to do tactically, or this, can you expound on that?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, I'm not somebody that believes in like superstitions or anything like that, but I am somebody that like, I like a routine. I like to like get settled and get into a certain spot. If I can't do everything on the list, it's okay. I'm not going to freak out.
Right.
But yeah, I think a couple of the things are, first off, I always like to read this book called The Christian Athlete. And it's this amazing read. It talks about so many different perspectives, from you as a competitor to you as a person to even if you're a coach, it has different mindsets and stuff like that. And it's a really interesting read because it's not always like super positive. It talks about like some bad mindsets that you need to avoid, some superhuman things that we're all capable of, and that like you need to overcome that stuff. You know what I mean? So that's one thing that I always like to do is just read a little bit of it, whatever I have time for. Sometimes that day I wake up a little earlier than normal, and so I'll go to the book and maybe I read a full chapter. Sometimes it's a couple of lines, so that's a big part of it. And then the other thing is I always like to do some like just guided meditated prayer. I'll hop on YouTube, try to find some 5-minute thing for whatever I'm feeling that day. If it's like something about anxiety, maybe I'm little extra nerves that day, or something about like humility. Like there's times where, super honest, like I'm playing somebody and like people have come up to me the day before and been like, oh, like you got an easy first round, blah blah. And I'm like, okay, don't let that stuff get into your head. You know what I mean? Don't like be humble. Anybody can win on any given day, and you have to remember that. And it's tough, like when people come up and like they're trying to help you and boost you up and like give you that ego thing. And like
Yeah.
for me, that's not something that works. I need to stay like somewhere in that middle ground where I know I can beat anybody, but I know anybody can beat me. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? That's the space where I do best, when I feel like I'm respecting the game and coming just hungry to beat whoever is on the other side of the net.
That's so good. Like just that humility component. I mean, I know I'm gonna go back to the tennis world, but like, I mean, Nadal's the classic.
Yeah.
Just epitomizes it. Like it doesn't matter if he's playing someone 1,000 in the world or Djokovic or Fed. Like he is treating every opponent the exact same, every point the exact same way. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And that avoids those, those. We're all gonna have those days, but those matches where you shouldn't be have any business losing that match. Like
Yeah.
so that's great. I'm gonna have to check that out. The Christian athlete. I
It's a
saw that
great
from the
book.
media
Yeah.
and some of the social media posts, and I'm like, hey, man, I meant to ask you about that.
Yeah.
So
No, I
I'll have to
swear
check
by
that
it.
out. Okay. Um, so how about sharing a time in your life and share as little or as much as you would like when you know you hit some roadblocks or hit some adversity. It can be personal, professional, you name it. And like what happened? How'd you navigate that?
Yeah. I think the one that sticks out for me, and as I think way too many people can probably relate with it, unfortunately, is going through my parents' divorce. They split when I was 19, so I was a freshman in college. So there's a lot of change happening all at once. I was, obviously going off to live on my own for the first time, and then you're also like, you know, small fish in a big pond, like at a big university. You're trying to compete for a spot on a tennis team, and then also to have, that change in my family was like it was really tough. Um,
Brutal.
and I think we all react to it differently.
Yeah.
And I think early on it was really tough for me. Like I let it affect a lot of aspects of my life, whether it be you know friendships or my own like mental health or like sleep. There's a lot of things going on for me. um, and I love both my parents, and now I have a great relationship with both of them.
Awesome.
But yeah, it was a really hard time, and I think one of the biggest things that I learned through that was like I I'm not going to be a product of
Hmm.
this. You know what I mean? That was something that I heard a lot of people say whenever I told them my parents had split. They're like, "Oh, I'm a product of divorce too." Like
Victim
I
mentality.
you know what I mean? Very very victim mentality like, and everybody deals with it their own way. And for me, I was like, okay, like this is a really tough situation, and I cannot let it define me. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I get to choose every single day, regardless of how hard it is, on how I'm going to react to this situation. And it's going to set up the way that I do my entire life. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like the way that eventually later on the line, I'm going to handle like my family dynamics once I marry somebody and I have kids and all that other stuff. And it's going to affect the way that I, handle basically now having two separate families, and
Yeah.
how I just go about my day to day. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So that was a huge um, turning point for me, I think, for the positive, because it was really this incredibly negative thing that happened, and it gave me the mentality of like, okay, nobody has a direct impact on how I feel or what I do. Like that's up to me.
Yeah.
Okay, the worst day, I still get to choose to be a light. I still get to choose to have a positive impact on people. And I think I've watched a lot of other people do that in my life, like having hard situations and handling it well. And I was like, man, like I always appreciate when I see people in difficult times
Yeah.
and not taking it out on other people, and instead choosing to be the light. And I was like, I just have to
Well,
be
that's
that
true
same
strength.
person,
Like when
Yeah,
you are literally, you've been, I think, burned or been knocked down or maybe treated unjustly, and for you to still have that, not be calloused from it,
mhm,
and to still have a sense of compassion and softness. Like I think the world today could mistake that for like, oh, being weak,
yeah,
but I think that's like the ultimate sign of strength
yeah,
to not want to, retaliate
yeah,
or, and so that's thank you for sharing that.
yeah,
One, I know that certainly is not easy, and I'm certain both your parents are proud of you. For who you are, who you've become. And one of the things that, as you were sharing that came to my mind is like, we don't always have to be, we don't always have to like the things we're grateful for. And I'm
yeah,
sure to some extent, clearly, that was a devastating, traumatic event. but you wouldn't be who you are today.
Yeah.
You probably wouldn't be the athlete you are today. To if you hadn't gone through that. Oh, thank you
Yeah.
for sharing
No,
that.
for sure.
What I mean, in the midst of that, for the viewers, because a lot of folks are probably going through, some sort of storm right now. Um, what would you say helps you take one step forward?
Gosh, I mean, I think a lot of it was a lot of learned patience for
Hmm.
myself. Um, I think uh, that's got to be something that my mom instilled in me. She's an incredibly patient person, and I think
Hmm.
that's something that I learned from her to have patience for others.
Hmm.
But that's always been a fault of mine, is like not being very patient for myself.
Okay.
And so that's something that I've gotten a lot better at. And I think somewhere down the line, it got a little bit easier when I heard a sermon, and it basically talked about like, uh, your opinion of you is not the most important thing. And
Hmm.
that's a very countercultural
So
concept. You
countercultural.
know what I mean? Because everybody tells you your happiness is what matters most,
Yeah.
your truth is what matters most. And like, that is not what faith talks about.
Yeah.
Like, it talks about a higher being, God, that has the utmost love for you, the utmost grace for you, and ultimately the utmost like forgiveness for you.
Mm,
And so if you can't forgive yourself, you're telling God and you're telling the world that my opinion is more important than his,
totally.
and it's just not the case.
No.
You know what I mean? And it's actually, it's a super tough concept to get around. I think a lot of people will think that I'm being, over dramatic, and
Yeah.
I'm putting things out of proportion and stuff like that. But it ultimately really resonated with me. And once I kind of got that concept like grasp, I was like, okay, like God's forgiven me. How dare I think that my opinion of myself matters more? I'm okay. I'm good. I need to be patient with myself. I need to give myself grace whenever I'm messing up. And yeah.
Yeah, like that. I mean, I think a spiritual mentor shared with me, like the ultimate like sin is just not forgiving ourselves.
Hmm.
And I to this day sometimes struggle with that, like with from past just like regrets and mistakes, and um, but like we have to extend that grace to ourselves if we want to move forward and show up, as you've said so wonderfully, show up as our best selves and be a light to others. Like
Yeah.
he can't shine through us if we're not forgiving ourselves,
Yeah.
and so
I think also like there was like another way that it was put to me was just like, if you are valuing your opinion that high, you're almost like idolizing your own
that isn't,
opinion over
oh,
it.
without
You
a
know what I mean?
doubt.
It's like
That's
that
so
was like
true.
super like, you felt
Hit
it.
You
Like
felt it.
it hit hard. I was like, I was
Convicted.
very condemned by that. I was like, oof, like
Yes.
that's heavy.
That 100%. But to just be able to like face that though, and be able to talk about that, like I feel like that's the first step. To be like, okay, understanding it, how can I course correct, get back on track, and show up as my best self. So, oh, that's great. Um, okay, so life is going to be life, and um, I feel like we're. It's safe to say, whether we realize it or not, we're either heading into a storm, in the middle of a storm, or coming out of one.
Yeah.
And so, like, whether it's pickleball, whether it's life, we kind of already touched on it a little bit, but what are like your top, let's say, 1 to 2 things that you like to go to right away when you're in the middle of a storm for our
Yeah.
viewers?
Um, I think the first thing is prayer. Like I'm somebody that prays a lot. I pray, start the day, first thing I do, like jump inside the truck, like spend, 5 minutes just talking to him.
Can I
Like,
stop you there for 1 second?
yeah,
Thank you so much for sharing that, especially like as a professional athlete, someone who's at the top of the game. Like it's not talked about a lot. Um, and it's something it's a huge motivation for this channel, for the viewers to normalize a prayer life, a spiritual life, whatever that looks like. So um if you could go share as many details of what that looks like as possible,
yeah.
like even like when you were just like first starting, like was it a minute, or how are you conversing, what does that look like?
Gosh, I mean, I think from the very beginning for me, I was fortunate enough to have people in the church that I was involved in talk to me and clearly lay out that prayer is not this perfect conversation between you and God.
Yeah.
Prayer is just a conversation
Mhm.
between you and God. And I got a hold of that really quickly, because I think right as I was kind of getting into my prayer life, a lot of it was, you know, trying to figure out like how do I navigate my parents, like their divorce, and
Yep.
like a lot of, you know, anger and all these other things that I had. And I can honestly say, like, my first like couple of real conversations with God were me being angry, me
Mm.
like bringing emotion, me bringing a lot of turmoil to him. It was not this thank you God for all that you've done and stuff like
Yes.
that. It was, why is this
But that's
happening to
good.
me?
We have
Why is this?
emotions.
No, exactly. And like, I think that's the ultimate thing, is like people mistake um Christianity for this religion, and it's
Yeah.
supposed to be like this relationship, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm talking to God and I'm bringing him everything.
Yeah.
And so that's like the number one thing, is like, I would say, like, get started with like where you're at. Like, if you're angry right
It's
now,
good.
talk to God about it. If you're confused right now, talk to God about it. If you feel empty, talk to God about it. Like, it is not this perfect little formula to say the right things and do all the right things, and you just need to open up, you
Yep.
know. And so like I said, for me, like the easiest time to make sure that I get it in every single day is like just jumping in my car or my truck and driving, and like just talking to him like before the day, whether it be like, hey, I'm going through this, or hey, thank you for this, or I'm upset with what's happening right now, can I talk to you about it? Like, and there's a there's a lot of things that I've learned just driving and talking to him, and then all of a sudden like one or two things will stick out. um but yeah, and that would be kind of the first thing that I would say, is just get going with whatever emotion you have.
Yeah.
And then the second thing that I would say would just be consistent. You know,
Yeah.
like I said, I do it every day to start my day. I also do it at night to end it. I have now gotten really comfortable with praying all throughout the day and all these different scenarios, but just being consistent to start and end your day. I think there's a lot of times where um, people like mistake the silence as
Yeah.
this like him not talking to you.
Mm.
And honestly, I feel like there's a lot of times where in the silence is where I hear him the best. You know what
Oh
I mean?
man,
And
that's so
you
good.
gotta give him a chance to come to you. You can't go to him one or two times, just like you can't go to the gym one or two times and expect
Yeah.
results. So
Well,
that would be my first couple of things.
I remember I had during you know, multiple different seasons of life, but one of the quotes that I always would cling to is the teacher's always quiet during the test.
Hmm.
Um, to your point of
That's
what you
really
just
good.
that you just shared, and I mean, there's so many golden nuggets. I think in terms of just like starting and ending the day, but like sandwiched in between, you're constantly talking.
Hmm.
You know, like so you're in constant communion with God, and it's like, well, like how do you talk? If you're first getting started, like I think just start for a minute. And when I was first starting, my favorite prayer was thank you.
Yeah.
Just an attitude, just a mindset of gratitude.
Yeah.
And then what Michael shared in terms of talking about, like if you're angry, bring that to God. Like he wants to, he wants your true, peeled back, authentic self, not you know, prayers of life's great, as if we were talking to having a casual living room conversation here. That's the same type of conversation we could have with our Heavenly Father, where it is someone who cares for us more than we care for ourselves. So whatever is on our mind and on our heart, take it to Him,
Yeah.
and you know, then it'll take a life of its own. I think in terms of what you hear, you know. So that's thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Of course.
So we've already kind of like segue naturally into the faith component,
Yeah.
and it's one of the things that I know our friendship is newer. It feels like much longer,
Yeah.
and I think it's because of the shared faith that we have and those types of values and that type of belief, and just like the spirit that I could tell that you have about you. Like it's different, you know, and in just a light way, light in terms of like you just there's something about you, like you exuberate light, but you just walk lightly too. And I think it's because like, look, we can be going about this world and have so much crap and baggage, but we know like if we go to Him, like we could live and walk easy type of thing. And so, where am I going with this? Like in today's world, especially as a professional athlete on tour, I'm sure it's not the easiest thing to always be outspoken and bold in your faith, but like how do you navigate that and how do you do it so well?
Yeah, I mean, I think first off, just like being super transparent about like it is hard. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, like you have to know not everybody's gonna like you for it, and super transparently, I like being liked. I
Yeah.
like when people are nice to me. I
We all
like when they enjoy my presence, and so obviously we all selfishly we want that in one way or another, and so that's a hard pill to swallow, so to speak. About like, okay, not everybody's going to like me when I deliver
no.
this message, but something that kind of just reigned true for me was just like, okay, like not everybody, regardless of me talking about my faith, not everybody's going to like Michael Loyd, but everybody does deserve to get, the chance to hear about the good news. And if I am going to be the person that brings it to them, what an honor. But like, I need to not take that lightly, and I need to put my own needs to the side and ultimately, you know, be the messenger, go out and be a disciple. And I think that's kind of the mindset that you have to have about it is that like it's going to be hard. People aren't going to like you for it, but you
Yeah.
still got to do it anyways. So yeah, but it is extremely tough to navigate. There's a lot of times where people are going through something tough, and I I'm the guy that's like, okay, well, have you heard about God? Have you heard about our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ? And
Yeah.
like, you have to have those conversations and find a way to navigate it and have people still resonate with you, still find you authentic. Because I think there's a lot of people that mistake Christians for these happy-go-lucky, I'm
Yeah.
positive all the time, and like that's not the reality of it. Like
No.
I bleed, I sweat, I cry, like I do everything that everybody else does. I still get super upset. I just ultimately have, this God, this Father that's going to help me through everything.
Yeah.
And I think that attributes to a lot of the lightness that like you talk about with me is like I'm not going through this thing unscathed,
Yeah.
but I just have the perspective of hey, like it's all going to work out in His favor. It's all going to work out for Him. And ultimately, like He has not promised me an easy time on this earth. He's promised me, this amazing gift of forgiveness up in heaven. And so that's something that that perspective helps you through everything. So yeah.
Oh, that's so good. Now where am I going to go with this? So like let's take it to the court. So like how that perspective helps you with everything. How does that help you um in pressure situations? Like does it help you view like okay, there's so much more to this life than like what's going to happen here in this, in this game, but it could be you're playing a finals, a slam finals. Does that how does that perspective help you maybe view it a little differently?
Yeah, I think ultimately it goes back to like the prayer life that we talked about earlier. I am in constant like communication with Him. And, like
Yeah.
I have like the Bible verses tatted on me. I have them on my paddle. Like I'm looking at them. I'm thinking about them. There's a lot of times where like on the timeout, I'm literally just having a conversation with Him, and it's not like Lord help me win. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Oh,
Because like I think that's what a lot
Phil,
of people like think about Christians is that like
I'm so glad you said
yeah,
that.
like I'm praying and being like God like help me do this, and like
Yes.
that's not the
No.
case, you know what I mean? Like I'm in there thinking about like okay, help me handle these emotions, help me like
Yep.
be a light, help me represent you in the best way possible, win or lose, like you know what I mean? Those are the thoughts that I'm having. I think a lot of people like think that because of the faith I'm
Yeah.
like sitting on the sideline being like dear Lord help me make this third shot drop, like you know what I mean? It's just like it's not
I
what's happening.
and I was super open like that. Like when I was very new on my faith journey, like those were my prayers. Like, oh God, like help me get this, or especially during my like junior tennis days. Oh, if you help me win this match, I'll do X, Y, Z.
Hmm.
And I look back at myself and just laugh like just fondly because it's like, look, the heart was in a good place, but like
Yeah.
now it's the journey is just simply more like your will be done
Yeah.
and having so much peace in that. And as you were sharing all of that, like I equate it to like just a God confidence.
Hmm.
Like when circumstances and everything are just like so they make zero sense. And
Yeah.
it's like when it's so easy to say, woe is me or why me, now just like welcoming it with open arms and saying, what is going to be pulled from this?
Yeah.
How am I going to grow?
Yeah.
Who can I impact? And ultimately, because like we are here for such a short period of time, and I think that helps put things into perspective, especially at the highest level of competition.
Yeah.
Um, that this doesn't matter
Yeah.
all that much
Yeah.
relative.
No, I agree. And I still think like I don't want to like paint the picture that like it's wrong to pray
Yeah,
for success or anything like that. I still
sure.
like I pray for success, but like it's ultimately with the ending, like you said, like your will be done.
Yeah,
Like I want to succeed. I want to have a platform, ultimately to point back to God. You know what I mean? And obviously, success is an amazing tool for that, right?
for
Like
sure.
the better that you do, the more people are able to look at you and stuff like that. We're not like saying like, oh, you can't pray for success or anything
Yeah,
like
no,
that,
no, no,
but
no, not
just
at all.
ultimately like the perspective of like there's more going on. You know what I mean? And
Exactly.
yeah, I think that's a huge thing that helps me like stay grounded and
Yeah,
stay like confident in those moments is having that perspective of like where this aligns
yep,
and in the big scheme of things, you know what I mean?
precisely.
So yeah,
Well, let's just take the classic. We'll take one step, he'll take two.
yeah,
Like, let's just take that step. And of course, we make tremendous sacrifices to reach the ultimate success. That whether it's in sports or career or relationships, like we want like that's designed by God to try to achieve, and He wants that for us, like but within reason and done the right way, and all of those sorts of things. So no, that's good stuff. I feel like this the faith part, like we could talk about for a long
oh yeah,
time, and that there's so many different roads that we can go down. But I think the simple takeaway is kind of what you shared: having consistency. Starting and ending your day, and for those who were, if you're not at a place to like kind of like receive that, simple meditation. I think we're all beings, whether we realize it or not. And so just starting with quiet time and being in tune with what we're hearing and where the spirit leads and those sorts of things can go a long way. Um, and at the very least, have more mental clarity.
yeah,
So that's good stuff. So pickleball, changing gears just a little bit. So many parallels between pickleball and life. Life inside the lines, life outside the lines. What's a lesson that you've gained from pickleball that now you apply to your everyday life?
yeah. I think, gosh, like for me, I think about doubles a lot. I think about how intimate the game is, and I think about how it is one of the most unique sports where we're all four of us are standing like 14 feet apart,
Yeah.
and we're all right there, and because of that, like you feel your emotions like
Mm.
crazy. You feel your partners, you feel the other teams. And so I just think about, man, how much I've learned that my emotions, my um, demeanor
Mm-hmm.
has a direct impact on everybody around me for good or for bad. And so that's been a really cool thing for me to pay attention to. Is it's not just like what I say.
Yeah.
It's how I act. It's my body language. It's my attitude in between stuff, and that has a direct impact on how my partner is going to play. And there's a lot of times people will come off the court and they're like, "Yeah, my partner, they sucked. They did terrible today." And I watched the match, and while they didn't say anything crazy negative to their opponent, it was like an eye roll every time they
Yeah.
missed a third, or like an oh my gosh every time they lost a hands battle, or stuff like that. And it's like, oh my gosh, like how much better could we all be doing, not just on the pickleball court but in life,
Yeah.
if we were just a little bit kinder to one another, if we just held ourselves a little bit higher. And it was funny because the other day I was at the Pickler, and I just stuck around and I was watching some 5-0 play, and a lot of these guys are very talented, have a lot of the shots,
Yep.
but a lot of them are super quick to do those things that I talked about, and they're not like cussing their partner out or anything
Yeah.
like that. It's just these little subtleties.
The nonverbal.
Yeah, and then
So felt.
there's guys like I'll give a shout out to like Isaac Gonzalez in the area, who I
Okay.
watched. He was playing this 5-0 open play. Every single time his partner missed, he was the first guy to like run over, give a paddle tap.
We
And so
need more
that's
of that.
just the thing on the other side of like how well you can impact somebody if you're just positive, you're saying the right things, and you just bring the aura that you need to. Like people feel that, you know what I mean? And I just watch it, and I see it all the time in pickleball, in my own play and other people's plays. Like when you bring the correct energy, it everything goes better, you know?
It's a domino effect.
Absolutely.
Like, I mean, workplace, and that is a phenomenal example, and something that is a great reminder for me. Like, I mean, especially on the days where we might be lower on energy
Hmm.
or the tank's not there, but like still, whether you have to fake it or just pump yourself up in some
Yeah.
way, shape, or form to get yourself to that place, because then someone will feed off of that, and then they could feed you
Yeah, they're
in
gonna
some way,
recharge it. I mean, like
and
the one of the best things that I heard about is like there's gonna be a lot of days where you get 20%. Just
yeah.
bring 100% of that 20%, and
Oh,
you'd be so surprised at how other people will help charge you up.
it's
You know what I mean?
amazing.
And you'll
Yeah,
go up 30, 40, 50.
yeah,
Where there's not a lot of days where I feel like I'm at 100, but
yeah.
if you can just bring 100 of whatever you have that day.
That's better than 10 espressos.
Yeah.
Because sometimes espressos don't do anything for me,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like bringing the energy, and like
Yeah.
then it's like that's just the natural, you know, boost that we need. So, oh, that's great. Okay, so a lot of this overlap. Let's get off court a little bit. So, like, beyond the wins and the trophies you've already achieved and you'll continue to achieve, and the losses, all of that, everything in between, how do you want to be remembered? Um, and yeah, what impact you want to make overall?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, pickleball is not the purpose. Pickleball is the platform,
Hmm.
and ultimately the purpose is like to turn it into a ministry, to have people be
Oh,
turned to the
that's
faith.
amazing.
And so for me, that's a big thing. I have had so many wonderful conversations with fans and different players, like, and just talking about my faith and getting into things like that with other people. And I think Christianity at a whole is becoming a lot less taboo, which I
Hmm.
think is amazing. That
Yeah,
just like people are coming back into that, having more open conversations with that. And I would love to just be a part of that, bringing that into the space. But I think already pickleball is such an amazing community.
yeah,
And I think if I could just be a small part and kind of bringing in that ministry into it, that would be amazing. But yeah, ultimately, I just want to help people grow, whether it's in pickleball or their faith or all these other things. Like I have such a deep passion for coaching, and so that's something that I'm spending a lot more time in this year with a pickler and doing clinics there at
yeah,
Round Rock, as well as um, you know starting my YouTube channel. And I'm going to be
yeah,
a lot more thoughtful about my socials and what I'm putting out there as well, just to help people and making sure that I can kind of interweave everything together,
yeah,
pickleball and ministry, and have
yeah.
a little bit of something for everybody at all times. So yeah, that's really what I'd love to be remembered for. Um, so yeah,
That's awesome, and you already are. Like, I mean, it's. I saw that. I mean, you caught my eye at Worlds last year, and it's like, wow, like that's it. Like, there has yet to be anyone who has been that bold in proclaiming their faith and living it out. And I know it's just the start for you. So I affirm you, you're already doing it. I didn't realize though that I mean, it's like pickleball is the platform. Like that's
mhm,
the ultimate. That's next level type stuff, man.
yeah,
So that is. I'm excited to see the journey
thanks, man.
and see it all unfold. Um, so for those watching and want to grow, both in their game and their faith, I know this is kind of an overlap, but what is your advice? We've already talked about like maybe the prayer, but if they want to grow, let's maybe take it more on court. You know, they're 3-0 to 4-0 type range. Want to start playing some tournaments, coming from a pro in your level. What's your best advice for them?
I would say like be very intentional with your time on court. Um, when I first got started playing, obviously we're not the best, right, when we get
Yeah.
going. And I was like, I just want to get as good as possible as quickly as possible, right? So I probably had and it doesn't have to be this extreme, but like when I first got going, I was spending probably 80% of the time drilling and
Okay.
20% of the time playing. I
Okay.
just really wanted to get as good as I could as quickly as possible, and intentionally drilling too, like showing up with specific things that I had in mind. I had it set up where half of the time I was doing very singles based stuff, and the other half of the time it was doubles based stuff. And I was fortunate enough to have a couple of different guys. Like I was with like Kyle Kazuda and Craig Johnson, Nico Montoya back in the day when I was playing in Arizona, and I just had this set schedule where I knew I was playing with those guys throughout the week, the same time,
Yep.
over and over and over again, and it was super easy to just set it up like that. Um, and yeah, I was just super intentional. And that was back when I was still working for Head, had a corporate job, so I was, getting up at the courts like
Wow.
6:30. Um,
Before work,
Before work,
go to work.
play an hour and a half to 2 hours, whatever I had that day, and then go to work, do that whole thing, and then come back and do it all over again.
Yeah, no, that's
So yeah, I'd just say like be super intentional, be really honest with yourself, find
Okay.
2 or 3 things that you need to work on and stick with those. Like, I see so many people trying to work at 10 different skill sets all at once,
Mm.
and it's just it's really tough. I think you need to master a couple of skill sets, and then you need to make sure you're honing in on the weaknesses, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And so, yeah, I'd say that would be my advice for the on-court stuff.
Man, I mean, that's just that nugget right there, being intentional, plus like, doubles being the main area where we're playing, like just bringing that energy. I mean, those two things right there, I think could easily be powerful takeaways for the audience. So that's great. What's next for you? What events do you have coming up? Or do you plan 3 months out, the whole year out? Like how's that look?
Yeah, so I've got my schedule, uh, basically booked out till March, April
Okay,
area-ish.
a few months out.
So yeah, I've got a couple of different partners lined up. I'm playing with Todd a bunch. I have some with Kwang Duong, so
Okay,
those will be fun. For the mix, it's a little all over the place. I've
yeah,
got Ava Ignatowicz. I've got another one with Andrea Koop, Lena Padega Maite. I've got another one, Tammy Emrich, who I played MLP with. So yeah, a lot of fun partnerships that I'm excited about, and I think as you get those better and
all
better
those names are
partners,
those are big times.
like
Those
it
are
really helps, and they're all great people, super easy to play with. So really looking forward to that. But yeah, I'm also like eyes forward on the draft right now
yeah.
with MLP.
When's the draft?
It's in March,
It's in
so
March. Okay,
and there's a lot of shifting right now with like the trades and
a
stuff like
lot,
that,
golf
the
a lot.
waiver pickups and all the different deadlines, and yeah, I'm super excited for that. Obviously, got a chance to play at the end of last year, so would love another opportunity to play on
Yeah,
whatever
you
team
will.
that picks me up. But yeah, I think definitely all eyes forward on that and trying to see what I can do to help a team ultimately win a championship.
Yep.
So yeah, I think beyond that, like I said, trying to grow the socials and like really just give my give myself a chance to interact with other people. You know what I mean? I want
Yep.
people to know me for the off court stuff. I want you to have a good look into what I'm doing. It's not pickleball 24/7, although
Yep.
I do love it.
Yeah.
Like you said, we met on the paddle court. There's a
You're
lot
right.
of other interests that I have. I love racket sports in general.
Yep.
Me and you talked about getting on the tennis court again as well, because I
Oh, I
still
love
like to
that.
go strike some tennis balls as well. Um, but yeah, I think just having that opportunity to show people the different sides of us as athletes is really unique. Pickleball is in this awesome space right now where it's getting serious. There's real money behind it. Obviously, it's a career for me right now, and
Yep.
we're fortunate enough to be in that space where there's a lot of people that are able to do this full time.
Yeah.
But it's also in that sweet spot where I think fans have this amazing access to us at the venues. They can come up and talk to us. I've had all these amazing conversations with people, and I think to be able to take it a step further with the behind the scenes is going to be awesome.
It really is. Well, I mean, to that, to expound on that, my dad's in the Philippines right now, and he's like, pickleball, like we don't hear about it.
Hmm.
I mean, being here in the States, but he's like, it is absolutely blowing up here. Like, there's just pickup games going on left and right. It was in the mall, in the airport. Like,
That's awesome.
he's like, this is you never would have known. He's like, so that's like a sign of I mean, it is becoming more global than we think, more quickly than we
Yeah,
think.
yeah,
And so it's so exciting. So you have an action-packed schedule, my friend. I mean,
yeah,
just
yeah. It's going to
growing.
be
I know what you're
moving
going to be
fast.
doing on the platform with socials and playing at the level that you are just to train. I mean, those are you're probably 2 a days. Who knows? I mean,
Yeah,
that is
a lot of
quite a
2 days.
bit. The travel. So it's a never dull moment.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm grateful for all the chaos, all the fun stuff. It's good to be busy.
Wouldn't want it any other way.
Absolutely.
Any final words, any final thoughts on faith, on pickleball, on breakthrough? What would you like to leave with the crew?
Gosh, I mean, I think on faith, just you know, I think again, just going back to be real, be you, let other people know the real you. You don't have to be perfect just because you're a Christian or you believe in a lot of these values. You're gonna mess up and you're gonna slip up, and that's okay. God is gonna forgive that and showcase His strength in all of your weakness, and that's one thing I would leave you with on the faith journey. And then on the encore stuff for the breakthrough, I think whether you're trying to go pro or you're just trying to be better to beat that local banger at your park, just keep enjoying the journey. You know what I mean? Like I think a lot of us get lost in I want to get better at this shot and it hasn't gotten where I need to be. And it's like, okay, well, are you enjoying it? Are you having
Mhm.
fun along the way? Because if you're not, it gets a lot tougher. You know
Oh,
what I mean?
yeah.
And so enjoy the ride for whatever it is, and just have as much fun along the way as possible. This game is amazing. You're going to meet so many incredible people, and you're going to have so many brilliant opportunities that you would never thought of. I mean, I've met so many people along the way, like you, and friends that I'm going to have for a lifetime.
Yeah.
That I just have to turn back and look at and be like, man, it's all because of this crazy fun sport, you know? So yeah.
Amen. Couldn't say it any better. Where can people follow you? I know that you had shared like this guy. Guys, follow him. I mean, all socials. He'll share it with you. We'll link it down below. But it's he's very new in the social journey, and I can't wait to see where you're going to be a year, 2 years from now. So where could people follow you?
Yeah, Michael Loyd PB. So
Okay.
Michael with one L, Loyd with one L, PB, and that's on Instagram and on YouTube for right now. So yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Michael, huge thanks for coming on. What a conversation. I know it's just the start of the impact you're going to have not only on the court, but more importantly, off the court. And so many amazing takeaways that I'm going to go home with today for myself. I know the viewers will as well. Just keep being so bold in your faith. I absolutely love it. And keep living a life on fire. You already are. And to our viewers, thank you for sticking around until the end. If something inspired you, if you took away something, be sure to comment below, smash the like button, subscribe for more. And remember, with breakdown comes breakthrough. We'll see you in the next one.